Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel as I bring you my race from the second round of the Road to Gran Turismo 7 series as we get even closer to that game's release on March 10th. We're at Suzuka today and as normal you join me leaving the pits driving the Aston Martin DBR9 GTI as I turn into turn 1 and we'll skip ahead to see my flying lap. And now this lap was absolutely scrubbed from the start. As I come out of the final chicane, I push the car a little bit too wide off the track, almost spin. Thankfully I managed to hold on to the track and cross the line to start my second flying lap as we head down the main straight. Dropping it down to third for the first corner, just kissing the apex on the inside, dropping down to second for corner 2, and back onto the power heading towards the S's. Just lifting, staying in third for the first corner of the S's, and just trying to push it through the entire section in third gear. Dropping the throttle a little bit just to get around the next corner. Mr. T moves me nicely to the side to overtake me. And dropping it to third for the next corner. Thankfully nobody goes off here. Dropping down to second for the corner under the bridge. Back on the power heading towards the hairpin. Moving on to the inside, dropping it down to first, but I go in very hot and hit Mr. T. Thankfully neither of us go off here. But I do push ahead. Sorry about that incident, mate. Dropping it down to second gear for the next corner, trying to stay tight to the left and sweeping out for the corner just before the long straight. Just trying to sit in the toe with Mr. T. As I move to the inside to try and make a move on him. Braking, but he managed to stay in front and pull away. Coming up to the final chicane, dropping it down to second gear. Mr. T goes wide into the runoff as I come around to pass him on the final corner. And crossing the line with a time of 2 minutes, 11.7 seconds. Not the best time, and we'll have to see what we can do with that. And as qualifying is confirmed, I am placed in 17th place on the grid for the race. Now this is a 16 lap race and we have to use all the compounds of dry tyres available, and it's a good old fashioned grid start as we are now just waiting for the lights to go out. Quickly trying to set my traction control to help with the start. As it's lights out, away we go, and there's already a little bit of commotion up front and I end up driving into the driver ahead. Thankfully I don't go off the track, but I do fall back to 18th place as this race now gets underway as we head into the first corner. I'm just trying to stay in line around the first corner as we have our first car off track, allowing me to move back to 17th place. Trying for a little move on the inside, but didn't quite work, so I stay in 17th. And as we're moving through the S's, we get a yellow flag and another car over on the right side off the track, moving me up to 16th. As the battle with Mr. Lee is well and truly heating up at this point. Just sitting in his toe, braking for the next corner, and we have yet another car going off early moving up to 15th as we brake for the corner before the bridge, and back on the power for the hairpin. Coming into the hairpin with yellow flags being waved, having a little touch from Mr. Lee, moving back onto the racing line as we see another driver unfortunately being knocked off the track. And it just shows how important consistency can be in these races. Just make sure you're not making mistakes, and most people around you will if you apply a little bit more pressure. And moving a little bit wide on the next corner, I do start sliding, but I managed to hold the car on track. But the driver behind manages to take a move on the outside. But I managed to chase him down on the straight to hold on to 14th. Tapping the brake lightly and throwing the car through this high-speed corner as I edge closer to Mr. Lee, just heading towards the chicane. And with NRZ moving in on the inside, they make a very last-second decision to pit, almost drifting it into the corner. As we cross the line to start the second lap. Currently running in 13th place, we're just going to fast forward as I close the gap on the Aston Martin driver ahead. Going for a move on the outside of the corner, we break in 3 cars wide almost. Just managing to pull ahead, but then Rick 30 decides to give me a little nudge into the gravel track as we both go off. Managing to rejoin the track, down in 15th place, 16th. Braking for the hairpin. As we've got Mr. Lee just on the outside, manages to pull ahead. And we move over to the TV camera as I move to the inside line and pass Mr. Lee. Going through the next corner as we see yet another car trying to get back onto the track as we head down the straight under the Dunlop sign. As we skip forward to lap 3, going through the high speed corner in 4th, moving up to 5th gear. Braking for the chicane, and you can see our friend Rick 30 giving me a little nudge once again, managing to hold on as he takes to place, moves me down to 13th. And I'm just fighting Rick down the main straight as we cross into lap 4. I managed to move up to 12th before we head into the first corner. And I've just got to try and be as defensively as I can. As we see yet another car off, I managed to move up to 11th place, moving into the S's as Rick tries to make a move, but I managed to shut the door on him. Third corner of the S's, still not managing to pass. Manages to squeeze through the 4th corner of the S. As we now fast forward through the next few corners up towards the hairpin. And end up going a little bit hot, taking the corner a little bit too wide, and I leave the door open for Mr. Lee, who takes me, moves me down to 13th as I move into the tow behind. And I just try and stick on his bumper and take the inside line into the next corner. Where I managed to just pass him again for 12th place. As we head down the main straight, moving up into 11th. Moving over to the TV camera, you can see just how close this pack is at the moment. Dabber brakes, dropping it to 4th, and you can see Mr. Lee taking a nice slide off the track, but we all managed to get around. braking for the final chicane, taking it quite neat, and back on the power to start the 5th lap. As we skip ahead now to the end of the 5th lap, as it's time for my first pit stop of the race, getting around the chicane, just touching the grass a little bit on the way in, moving over to the medium tyres, letting the boys do their job. And exiting the pits in 13th position, starting lap 6. Moving up to 12th place through the first corner. And as we skip ahead to lap 9, I'm just coming out of the hairpin and running in 10th place. I do take the corner wide and visit the wall on the left. Thankfully managed to get back on the track, but I did think I was going to be ghosted, so I ended up having that little incident with Mr. Lee there. Thankfully, no one span off, so we kept racing. Moving ahead now to the end of lap 10, and as you can see, Mr. Lee is still with me as we head into the chicane. I do take this exit rather wide as I rearrange one of the cones by going off track, thankfully managing to stay on, but Mr. Lee takes this opportunity to move to the inside as we battle it out down the straight once again. Staying in the toe of him, just looking for a move on the inside into turn 1, but unfortunately it doesn't pan out with anything. As we move into turn 2 and skip ahead to the end of the lap, as it is time for my second pit stop of the race. As we both go into the pits this time, and I move over to the soft compound. Boys doing a great job as always, and I come out of the pits once again in 12th place. But with these tyres I should be able to push quite nicely. As we skip ahead towards the end of the lap, I've caught up with Mr. Lee as we cross the line to start the 13th lap, and I make a move for the inside. And this time I managed to make it stick, moving up to 9th place. As we have a new driver just coming out of the pits ahead of us. As we start moving through the S's. Still very close knit to each other. Taking this corner way too wide, I end up going into the gravel, and in trying to get out as quickly as I can, I end up spinning the car. So I had to reverse back onto the track, and after gracefully rejoining back in 11th place, we are racing again. As we skip ahead now to the start of the final lap of the race, I've managed to pull myself back up to 10th place. I'm just behind VR64 and Mr. Lee as we go down the main straight. Braking for the first corner, the car ahead does have a little bit of a lock up as we go into turn 2. And at this point I do want to just bring the car home, but I can see that the gap to the driver ahead is reducing, so I might just keep pushing it just a little bit, see what I can do. The gap is now below a second as we move through the S's and we come across a back marker. Braking and just trying to get a little bit out of that gap each time. Braking for the corner before the bridge. And now I'm sitting comfortably in his toe as we head towards the hairpin. Wanted to make a move on the inside here, but he shuts the door on me. We end up having a little bit of contact. I think that was my opportunity gone to pass him here. Trying for a move on the outside here. I do go a little bit wide. Not wanting to spin, I get back onto the track. Let him pull away a little bit. And back onto the power for the straight. Taking it just a little bit wide for that corner. Braking for the final chicane. Taking a very tight line through here. Almost going wide again. Back on the power towards the final line. And crossing the line to finish the race.
Woo! Podium! Yeah!
And with that, I had been moved up to 3rd place, thanks to the fact that a lot of people didn't use all the tyres available to them. And it goes to show that you need to check the tyre requirements before these races. And that is going to be it for this video as we get even closer to the release of Gran Turismo 7. Why not join me over on Twitch on release day, where I'll be streaming it there. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you watched to the end, why not like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. But I will see you in the next one.